Hey Devin, how's it going?
Hey Jay, doing excellent, thanks. How about yourself?
Good, man. I have a problem though that I was hoping you could help me with.
Oh, tell me more.
So, Kelsey and I are at the stage of the Rico Nano Tank Challenge where we're about to add livestock to our tanks.
Mhm.
And she's got her plan of action pretty well laid out. I thought I had a really awesome idea for what I was going to put in the tank, which included a whole bunch of cool little gobies and blennies and some complementary inverts like some pistol shrimp, things of that nature. And then I realized that I don't actually have a real sand bed.
I see your predicament.
So what I'm hoping for is that you could possibly share with me what you've got going on in your nano tank, and then maybe go over a couple of my backup ideas for fish to go in my little system.
All right, it sounds like a plan. So my tank's actually fairly stocked already. I probably have majority of the stuff that's in there. I may add one or two more, but so far, kind of the one showier fish I got in there's the Macocker's flasher wrasse. These guys, they do not sleep in the sand bed. He sleeps in the rock work. So, I mean, that's a potential option for you is some of the flasher wrasses or add in some sand later.
How do you know? How do you know the difference?
You could probably research or Google those. So far we got the flasher wrasse. I have a Rainford Goby. He's like a super tiny, cute little guy. They're very hardy. He just like plunks away and cleans like one grain of sand at a time, keeping it looking good. On top of that, I got a Pygmy Goby who's super tiny. He's probably like an inch. And he's just like a little red and white kind of skunk Pygmy Goby. My two other kind of more showpiece fish, I'd say, are blue streak pipefish. These guys are maximum about 3 inches. They're both very tiny. Just little guys that cruise around and eat pods all day. Now with these, I do supplement pods to my tank, especially being a nano and being a fairly new tank. I'm adding pods weekly and I do culture them, so it's not a big deal for me. So something to keep in mind if you are want to do a pod hunter in your tank. And the one other really cool fish that I have, like the most expensive freaking fish per inch I've ever had in my life, but it's a spike fin goby or a Mandarin Dragonet, I believe it's called. But they look like little crazy little dragons with like big orange spiky dorsal fins and big webbed arms and super cool, but I literally see him once a week. He's very elusive, so you would never want to do that in a big tank or you'd never see him and it'd be a waste of money. On top of that, I got like the blue porcelain crab, got a pom-pom crab, a couple sexy shrimp, an emerald crab, so a few different inverts in there.
Well, that sounds really cool. You got a nice combination there of a couple free swimmers with the wrasse, and then you've got what I was originally planning on having, which is this community of little interesting fish, which you normally don't get to enjoy in a larger tank because either they get eaten or they just hide,
Yeah,
and then you never see them.
it's funny when you walk up to the tank because I mean the flasher wrasse is always out there. You think it's the only fish in the tank until you go up close and start looking around and you'll see tons of little microlife all over the place. And that's one of the cool things with the nano.
I'm thinking I'm going more along the lines of wrasses, because from what I've read, you can keep a few in the tank, although one of the things that's come up, as you say, the leopard wrasse, I know from our experience with them, is they love to hide in the sand bed. So that's not a particularly good match. But maybe a six line, maybe a fairy wrasse. I think I was originally thinking a red-headed fairy wrasse, but they get quite large, right?
I mean, if you have a baby one, you can go in your nano. You just got to make sure you have a tank to move him into once he outgrows it. Now, the other option is, I know you have your acrylic or your epoxy sand bed. You could always just have like one corner of your tank with some real sand just so they have somewhere to sleep if you do get rid of those.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So have like a little sand pool.
Yeah, a little sand pool.
An environment within the environment for some.
Or you could even kind of plan it with, we got the MP40 on the tank and have it blasting one way so it just always pushes the sand and keeps it mounted on one side. You might be able to work something like that if you want to get some sand dwellers in there as well.
Not a bad idea there. I have two on the list, which I'm a little questionable about. I was curious about your experience. I've always kept hawkfish, typically flame hawkfish, because they've always been great tank inhabitants. They perch. They're always out. They seem to get along with everybody else. So I was thinking maybe a long-nosed hawkfish because they're one of the more delicate ones typically, and that they look cool as well. But I've also hawkfish go after inverts.
Yes, they do. Very cool fish. Tons of personality. They're curious. They're out there looking at you. These big eyeballs are staring like, "Hey, Jay, what's going on today?" But if you want to have sexy shrimp bring those little guys, they'll likely become a snack. So kind of got to decide what kind of inverts you want and whether or not they're compatible.
So, I mean, one of the upsides, I guess, to the Nano system is it's easy to remove an inhabitant if they don't really fit the bill. And fortunately, we have a number of tanks around here that would be happy to accept some of these guys. So that gives me a little bit of flexibility. But that actually brings me to the other one, which would be a yellow clown goby. Clown gobies, again, very cool. Very personable, interesting fish, and the yellow ones I think are really cool because they're bright yellow. But all the clown gobies, I shouldn't say all, the one clown goby we've ever had has been an absolute nightmare as a coral nipper. Some people say they're totally reef safe, have had no problem with them. That's not been my experience. I don't know how it's been for you.
So yellow clown goby is probably my first fish ever, probably about 6 or 7 tanks ago, way back in the day.
Really?
Yep, very first fish. Awesome, cute, super cute little guys, and like a person or a dog or anything else, it all really depends on their personality. Some will never touch an SPS, and some will get a taste for it, and they'll be ferocious little pull-up nippers. So, in a big tank, sometimes they won't even, you won't see a denting if they are nipping on a big colony, but on a nano with little frags, I mean, they could demolish them in a hurry. So it really is kind of Russian roulette depending on the fish you get. It also depends what kind of coral you're putting in the tank. If it's a soft LPS tank, not an issue. But if you're trying to do a bunch of SPS, then you're gambling a little bit.
I think I am leaning more towards easier corals. I've done mostly SPS before, so I'm kind of excited to try some large polyp stuff, maybe some Euphilia. So I guess he'll stay on the list, or she'll stay on the list for now.
Excellent.
And then the other one, which I've only recently started keeping, and I actually keep them in a similar size tank, are firefish. So I'm kind of excited for them. They're usually easy to keep, and really the only requirement there is something to prevent them from jumping.
Yeah, definitely want to live with those guys. They're notorious jumpers, but very bright color. They're not super active. They just kind of hang out in the water column and just like poke around slightly. But yeah, no, very cool fish. Be a good option.
And then the last, maybe something for the bottom, would be a Mandarin Dragonet.
Okay, so with
captive bred one.
Mandarin is beautiful fish. I love them. One of my favorites. Either them or the ruby red. I don't know if it's a Goby Dragonet, but one of those two I'd say for bottom dweller. Same thing with those guys. Those guys are, for the most part, pod hunters. So you may have to supplement pods, or if you can find a captive bred one that's already trained to eat pellets or frozen, then you'll be a lot more ahead and have a lot more success.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah, I mean that would be the intention. I know they're the wild caught ones are extremely finicky and difficult to keep, but from what I understand, the captive bred ones are fairly easy, and they don't typically, as I understand it, require a large territory or area, being on the smaller side. So I think they'd be a good inhabitant.
Yep.
All right. Well, that gives me some great insight, at least. I was getting a little bit concerned there, so after hearing your list, and the pipefish sound like an absolutely awesome addition. I'm very jealous of that. So
I'll have to share some photos with you later, but yeah, they're very cool little guys. They're definitely like a little show kind of fish in there. And at their pair too, they swim around together all the time, so it's really cool to see.
Awesome. All right, well, I'll catch you later. Thank you for that, and
no problem. Thanks, Jay. Good luck on the night.
You'll need it.
Yeah, that goes for you too, buddy.